Like most modern mirrorless cameras, the S5 II and the S5 will allow you to fine-tune your autofocus to a point that best suits your shooting application. And this can be done with the AF speed and sensitivity, of course, but also a few more settings inside the menu, and of course by choosing the right AF modes with whatever you are shooting. So that could be anything from the single point autofocus mode to the full area, tracking, and so on. So what I wanted to do in today's video is just break down how I would set up my S5 II and just talk more about each different setting and what it does, and ultimately how it will affect your AF performance. Okay, so let's dive into the menu system of the S5 II and start getting this camera set up for the best AF performance. So what I do to start off with is go to the gear cog menu, and then under the second AF page in that menu, you'll find a setting called Quick AF. And out of the box, this will be turned off, but what you want to do is turn this on, because with my testing, I've actually found that with this turned on, the AF is actually snappier and a little bit more responsive. So it's definitely good to go ahead and change that. And then after this, what I do is I navigate to the video camera and then down to focus. And then here is where you're going to see all of your sort of main AF settings, if you like the ones that you can actually mess around with. And then if we go down to continuous AF, out of the box, the camera will be set to mode 1, which essentially means that continuous AF only works while you're recording video. Now for me, when the camera's on standby, I do actually like the continuous AF to work, so I always set mine to mode 2 and then just leave it there, because then even when I'm in standby mode, the camera will still be focusing and I know that nothing's sort of broken or not working. So again, I do that. And then up here is your AF custom setting for video. And as you guys probably know, if you have used the S5 or any of the other Panasonic full frame cameras, you can actually change the speed and sensitivity. So that means that you can go all the way from slow to fast, you know, sort of going down the range. And essentially what this does is change how locked on and sticky it is and how responsive it is. And of course, how quickly the autofocus actually acquires focus. So if you like the more smooth focus pulls, I'd either leave it on 0.0, or actually dial this down a little bit to maybe like -2. And then what you'll get is you'll get smoother focus pulls that look a lot more appealing, almost a little bit more human and a little bit less robotic, like some autofocus systems, you know, will give you that sort of robotic effect with. So you can easily go ahead and dial in your settings here. What I'd say is it does come out of the box on 0.0, and for me that's normally what I use. I find that to be quite good. It's a nice mix between sticky and responsive, so I normally just leave it like that. But then again, if I am filming product shots and I want to do a quick pull focus or a slow pull focus, sorry, then I can just dial it down and make it a little bit more sort of dramatic and humanized, if you like. So yeah, that's that menu. I definitely recommend checking out, you know, and just messing around with that a little bit for yourself. And then if we just go to the actual AF modes, you'll see here they are all here. So we have tracking, we have full area, we have zone, 1 area plus, and just regular 1 area. And then you'll see here as well, if we go to full area, I mean all of them, you'll see there's like a little man in the corner, and that's the AF detection type. So if we hit display, we can actually change between human, face eye, and animal plus human. Now when I am detecting subjects, specifically humans, I will always leave it on human and not face eye, purely because I've found that the human AF detecting subject mode actually switches to face and eye if it is close enough to the frame. So it sort of does the two but in one, whereas the face eye mode doesn't actually do that. It won't switch to the full body AF if the subject has moved quite far away. So I'd always recommend using human, and that's only what I have it set to. But of course, if you're detecting animals, then use animal and human. That one's quite straightforward. And let's say, for example, you didn't actually want to detect any subjects at all, so no humans, no animals, you can actually turn this off by hitting the up on the D-pad, and then as you can see, the little human has moved from the side of the frame, and these are all just now regular sort of shooting modes. And I'd actually recommend doing this if you were filming, let's say, product stuff or anything where you actually don't want the humans in the frame to be in focus and you want to prioritize, let's say, an object or a product, for example, because that essentially tells the camera that you don't want to be focusing on any human in the frame. So again, that's really good to do. Okay, so starting off with tracking, this one is like what it was like on the S5 and the other cameras. You get this little tracking box pop up, and then you can just half press the shutter, and then it'll go green and show that it's actually acquired focus on that subject. And this is great for some fast moving subjects that aren't particularly, let's say, humans, like maybe cars, for example, or something that's going through the frame quite fast. I find this to be quite helpful. Or let's say, for example, you're doing a push-in and the product is, you know, in the background and you're going through some foreground, for example. This mode is really good for just making sure that the camera doesn't get confused or try to grab onto anything else. And then going across to your full area AF. This one, again, as you guys know, this camera has 779 focus points, which is absolutely fantastic. And this mode does exactly what it says it will do. It essentially looks at the frame, the entire frame, and goes, okay, what do they want me to focus on, depending on how close the particular subject is to the camera, or, you know, how dominant it is in the frame. So this one's just sort of just standard AF mode, I'd say. And this is one that I use the most, but what I'll do is I'll always switch on, like I said, the human detection, because this for me is just the easiest and most versatile mode to use for every single shooting application. So then going across to the other one, so the zone is a really good one if you are, let's say, tracking a human, or you want to keep one human subject in the frame in focus. So let's say, for example, you're filming an interview and you're positioning your subject to the left of the frame, but then in the background there's other people walking through the frame or walking through the shot and stuff. If you hit zone and then use human detection, what the camera will do is essentially prioritize that person in the frame and not just jump to any other face that it sees in the frame. But the thing is all of these three modes, so zone, one area plus, and one area, they all work pretty much in the exact same way. So those three modes can sort of be interswap between each other depending on what you like to use the most. And if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I normally don't mess around with the one area plus or the zone that much. What I normally do is use the one area and the full, and I'll show you how just now. So if we go back to this, again, I'm in the full area with the human detection, and let's say I just want to go to the one spot with human detection, which I do like to do quite a lot, to be honest. I've actually got a map to a custom button, so when I hit the joystick, just press it down, it brings up my focus box, and then I can go ahead and move that around the frame. And this for me is the quickest and easiest way to access a sort of zone autofocus mode from the generic full area AF mode. So I use this one quite a lot. And then again, to turn that off, there's a little box here, you can just hit that and then it's off again. And then of course, let's say for example I didn't want to have, or I have no humans in the frame, then what I can do is just turn my detection off, and it works the exact same way. Just press the button and then there you go, we're good to go again. So that is actually really handy, and I find myself using that quite a lot. But the thing is with the S5 II is that you won't be able to move the joystick like that straight out of the box from the full area AF mode like you could with the S5. So I actually had to map that function to the button itself. So I'll show you how I did that. So if we long press this, you'll see your function mode or function button sort of set menu come up, and I've actually put it to focus area set, because if this wasn't set, then essentially no matter what you do with a joystick, you couldn't get that box up. So I've got that now, and then like I said, you just press it once and it brings up your one area AF, which is really nice. In case you haven't seen them already, I do make a lot of videos on this channel about setting up your Lumix cameras in the most effective way possible. So if you are a Lumix shooter or just getting into the ecosystem and want to know more about how to set up your camera or the best practices for setting up your camera, then definitely check out some of my other videos on the channel. I'll leave a few links down below. And of course, if you have not seen my S5 II or my S5 IIX first look videos, I'll also leave those links in the cards now as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you found it somewhat useful. And if you did, then please subscribe if you haven't already done so. And yeah, hopefully I shall see you in the next one.